Hello YouTube, Byron at Splitting Slices. Welcome back to the channel. It has been a while. I have to apologize to my viewing audience. I took about 6 weeks during the holidays to take a break from YouTube, both from watching most of the content and also making content. I needed a break, and I'm glad to be back, and I'm hoping I can step in now and get some content out for you. But between a planned vacation, some unplanned family support travel, multiple sicknesses within the family, and then finally a quick but awfully exciting trip to Las Vegas, where I got to take advantage of both my Christmas and birthday gift. I'm a Sagittarius. They got wrapped into one by my wife. We got to go see the Eagles at the Sphere. And folks, if you like visual, if you like audio, the place has something like 165,000 speakers, and depending on the digital content they provide, you're going to see one fantastic show. It is quite the venue. So, with all of that happened over the 6 weeks, it has been, I'm not going to say a stressful, but it has been a very busy 6 weeks. So, now that we're toward the end of January, I'm hoping I can get back on a regular schedule with content. Let's do a 2 for Tuesday. I have 2 knives here that I like. I carry occasionally, but there's just one thing. And I think that's going to be the title of this video. Just one thing. There's one thing about each of these knives that prevents these knives from being a regular EDC carry for me. So let's go ahead and talk about them. Maybe this is something that will help you out in determining whether you would like to have either of these knives. And in one instance, what I don't like about it may be perfect for somebody else. So let's get into it. The first knife on top is the Kershaw Culpepper. Now, this was a knife that was released by Kershaw and may be an SMKW exclusive. I don't think so, but that's where I saw this knife and purchased it on a trip down to Tennessee. I enjoy this knife, but there's one thing. We'll talk about it here in a second. The second knife is the Hogue Deca. Now, this is a knife that I was fortunate enough to win as an alternate winner on a very special memorial raffle giveaway that was done by Metal Complex and Nick Shabazz for a memorial service for Mike Knotts. He was a older teen that I believe ended up having a immunity health issue and unfortunately passed away in his teen years. In his will and at the request of his mother and father, Nick Shabazz and Metal Complex held this giveaway, and I was a fortunate one to win this Hogue Deca. One of their best highlighted moments of each of their channels, so I want to give them both kudos for being willing to do that. And rest in peace, Mike Knotts. So, the Hogue Deca and the Kershaw Culpepper. Byron, what don't you like about them? Well, if you notice, it's not the fact that it's a modern folder or a slip joint. The Kershaw Culpepper is a slip joint. The Hogue Deca is a modern folder, and I like both knives. Well, is it because one's metal and one's plastic? No, that's not either. I really enjoy the Culpepper and the way that it handles in the hand, the weight that the copper gives the scales, and the texture that those scales provide just make it a fantastic knife for both comfort, grip, and use. So it's not the fact that I've got metal scales on one and plastic scales on the other. This is a G-Mascus material on the Hogue Deca. It provides a very stiff platform with the standoffs for the knife. Much stiffer, stronger, and better feeling in the hand than its competitors like Benchmade. So with that said, it's not the fact that these are plastic or modern material scales It's a fantastic stiff handle feel, and they work great. Is it the action? No, I like the action of the Hogue Deca. Snaps right out there. Axis lock or the crossbar lock on this. I think Hogue calls it, possibly, is it the Duralock? No, that may be Kershaw. Forgive me, the axis lock, the crossbar lock, you know what shit is. Works out great on this knife. So it's not the action on it. The Culpeper has no half stop, but the action is smooth, it's not gritty, and it works okay. So for a slip joint, the actions on both of these knives, whether it's the modern or the folder, or the slip joint folder, it's not the action. What is it about them? Well, all right, let's get to it. The one thing each of these knives have that I think is a problem differs, but it keeps these knives from being in my pocket a lot of the time. The Kershaw Culpeper. Is it the fact it has no half stop? No, that's not it. It's not the patina on the copper. It's not the finger choil, or it's not the sharpening choil on the blade. It's not the blade shape, the jimping. It's not any of that. For me, the issue with the Culpeper is it has a very light spring tension. I would call this knife either a 2 to a 3 on the spring. Now, why is that a problem for me? Well, I'd like this knife to be a work knife, or a knife that I actually use on a consistent basis. And unfortunately, because of the light spring, I feel like the knife, if I do anything but open a box up with it, it could potentially close on my fingers and cause me some injury or some problems. Now, if you're just cutting envelopes, if you're just cutting box tape, and that's all you use your knife for, this is going to be a fantastic knife for you. If you have arthritis, or if you have hand issues that cause your mobility to be limited, this could be the perfect slip joint for you with that lighter pull, and with the ease of getting to the blade at the nail nick, you can easily pinch or use the nail nick or fuller to open this blade. So, the one thing for me on this knife is the light spring. Let's talk about the Hogue Deca. A fantastic, small, what I would almost consider a 5th pocket carry modern folder. Great action, stiff scales with the standoffs and the G-Mascus material better than its competitors. A very cool looking compound ground, unique shaped blade with a thumb ramp and jimping. Makes it easy to maneuver, easy to cut, and do a variety of cuts. So what's the one thing on this knife? Well, it's up here in what I'm going to call the lack of a finger choil. Now, because this has such a setback finger groove for your first finger, this ends up being like a 3 to a 3.5 inch finger knife for me. And the problem with my hand size versus the way this choil area has been designed is that there isn't enough room for this finger to come up near the blade. Notice how my finger's already touching the blade edge. And so every time I try to choke up on this knife and operate it, I have nicked or cut my finger because of that. This is a perfect location for a thumb ramp if I could also choke up on the blade. But because of this actual design of this finger area, this rounded but not wide enough choil area, it is a cut point for me and a nuisance in trying to use this as a work knife. Again, if you're just doing EDC tasks like cutting boxes, opening envelopes, something lighter, office type work, this could be an exceptional EDC folder for you. It's fidgety, it has great feel, except for that finger choil or lack thereof area, and the fact that of its size versus my larger hands. If you have small hands, this is probably going to be a perfect EDC for you. But due to the larger hands and due to that design of that choil area or lack thereof, it makes it end up being definitely just a fifth pocket carry for me. And honestly, I have basically given Mrs. Slices this knife to use, and she keeps it in her Jeep. So it's basically her dedicated car knife. So there you go. Just that one thing that keeps a knife from being in your pocket on a regular basis can make all the difference in the world between a knife that you EDC and one that just gets occasional use. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know down in the comments if you have a couple knives that just has that one thing about it. And I would appreciate your comments, and we will definitely check them out. So that's it for today. This is Byron from Splitting Slices saying split a slice with a friend soon. I hope you don't have many knives that just have that one thing. And until the next one, everybody take care.